Attention! Commencement of the briefing has begun. Clearance level top secret. As mentioned in the previous video, Ares Academy discussed the flaws of invading the Galactic Empire and how the results ended in disaster. The F.P.A. lost their power and standing on the galactic stage, and their prestige was diminished, as well as putting the F.P.A. on defense after their campaign. In the first video of the Strategic Studies series, Ares Academy will present 4 options to the High Council and Fleet Command. In the second video, there will be a breakdown of force levels. Of these 4 options, comment below as to which one you would choose. If you decide on a hybrid option, mention that as well. First, it is important to understand the threat and capabilities of the Galactic Empire. Our priority is to address where the Galactic Empire stands on the threat level Ares Academy tailored. Currently, the Galactic Empire has been at war with the Free Planets Alliance for over a century and are still fighting each other. So far, the conflict has remained a kinetic conventional war. Both sides have nuclear weapons, and they have not used them on each other throughout the war. This isn't a war of annihilation, or an existential threat to each other's homeland, as of the year when the F.P.A.'s expeditionary campaign takes place. Ares Academy will place it on a high threat level due to the war being contained to a smaller region of space. Next is net assessment, which entails the capabilities of both nations. At the beginning of the Legend of Galactic Heroes series, the Galactic Empire held 48% power in the galaxy, while the F.P.A. had 40% and Fezan had 12% of the power in the galaxy, making the Galactic Empire rank first in military, economic, diplomatic, and political power, while the F.P.A. was the near-peer power compared to the Empire. Last, Fezan was the economic hub of the galaxy, playing a role in funding both sides during the war. Their goals are to ascend as the dominant economic power. The goals of the two major powers is different. The Galactic Empire seeks to establish itself as the hegemon of the galaxy, and does not recognize the government of the F.P.A., calling them rebels, while a handful of people in the F.P.A. government seek to spread liberal democratic principles across the galaxy and overthrow the monarchical government. Let's start with capabilities. The intelligence we have on the Galactic Empire is its active military is small in size, but has a vast strategic reserve manpower pool, and are able to field a massive force due to their population consisting of 25 billion people. Their defense industrial base is built for total war footing, allowing the Empire to scale up their armaments production. Their geography is vast, which gives them strategic depth due to its size. Due to the type of government they have, the Emperor and Prime Minister can mobilize an immense amount of resources dedicated to waging a total war. Not to mention the vast nuclear arsenal the Galactic Empire owns. Current estimates show the Galactic Empire has an active force of 20 million personnel and 190,000 ships. The Galactic Empire could have a strategic reserve force, such as veterans and conscript fighting age males to serve in the event of the war expanding, or if the homeland is threatened. To build a vast armada or ground force, it would require an extensive defense industrial base on multiple planets. Another factor is the Galactic Empire's stellar geography, which consists of thousands of systems. Let's examine the map. This is only a portion of the Galactic Empire, since it is a vast empire with thousands of star systems. The capital world Odin is the heart and the center of the Galactic Empire, where the current emperor resides at, and military headquarters are located. On the southern half of the map is Geisberg Fortress, as well as a string of other fortresses which have similar capabilities as Islone Fortress. They are in place to strengthen the underbelly of the Galactic Empire. However, Fleet Admiral Lohengram used the Galactic Empire's strategic depth by withdrawing his fleet and military presence in the frontier systems, luring the F.P.A. deeper into their territory. He would mobilize his fleet forces from Odin and wage a counterattack on the F.P.A. As part of the strategic studies, Ares Academy will present 4 options to the military headquarters and the High Council. These are our options. The first option is seizing 1 or 2 frontier systems near the Islone corridor to establish a forward position. These would serve as early warning or tripwire forces. A smaller force would be required since they would be stationary on a handful of planets and recon other frontier systems. In the event of an attack, the F.P.A. could send in reinforcements from one of the frontier systems. If the High Council deemed it necessary to strike, key areas such as the Galactic Empire's industrial base or conduct hit and run attacks. The largest problem is maintaining the logistics of an occupation. Each world may have imperial citizens which require food, water, and other materials. However, Freeing citizens from the F.P.A. who specialize in farming could be beneficial to assist the populace in replenishing the crops. Something the F.P.A. High Council should think about is how troop morale will hold for long-term deployments and being away from home. Next, the second option, which entails a deep strike to seize the homeworld Odin for the Galactic Empire. Since the High Council wanted to make a political statement to the Empire. By seizing the homeworld, it could signal to the citizens of the Galactic Empire the F.P.A. was able to do the unthinkable. Another objective is to capture the Emperor of the Galactic Empire and get them to the negotiating table. The cons of this option are the risk to reach and maintain a supply line stretching from Isolin all the way to Odin. Space is vast, making it difficult to maintain an extensive supply line. The F.P.A. would have to establish supply hubs in different star systems such as Altair 7 and Altina Star Zone. Another con factor is the Emperor could evade capture by fleeing to another world and order withdrawal of supplies and resources from the planet. This operation could have similar comparison to Napoleon's march on Moscow, where the capital was burned to the ground, and it served no strategic use to the French. Option 3 is different from the previous two. One way to upend a massive galactic empire is by using information and dominating that domain. For this option, the F.P.A. uses agents to spread and expose the Galactic Empire's government. Methods may include using a radio station to expose the nobles and their treatment of the population. Another prospect is to back a faction, in particular a noble to challenge the Emperor's rule and launch a civil war. By doing this, it would put the Galactic Empire in a weaker position to continue the war against the F.P.A. and tying up military resources on their home territory. The F.P.A. can attempt to export their culture as a way to gain influence over the civilian populace. To carry this out, the F.P.A. government can pay third-party smugglers to ship books, music, and other items from the F.P.A. Cons for this option are agents being intercepted, as well as smugglers. Another is taking a risk of backing the wrong leader to overthrow the imperial government. However, this is the best option for the F.P.A. because it does not require a vast armada and a large manpower pool to fight a near peer. Last is the most extreme option out of all of them, which is Option 4. Option 4 entails an extreme total war model. But before presenting Option 4, Eris Academy would present the question to the High Council. Would you want to plan a war against half of humanity with a nuclear arsenal? If the answer is yes, here is what Option 4 would look like. First is naming the operation. Eris Academy will call this operation Double Eagle Freedom. First, let's start with the ends. The end goal is the elimination of the Galactic Empire's government and liberating every planet from the Imperial regime, capture of the Emperor and occupation of Odin, as well as getting the Galactic Empire to surrender unconditionally. Next is to rebuild and provide stability operations throughout the former Empire. Post-war, the F.P.A. will build a government that will align with liberal democratic principles and install a new regime. Next is our ways, which entails heavy force concentration, firepower, maneuver, and properly escorting supply ships. Last is means. To wage a war against the entirety of the Galactic Empire, the F.P.A. would need to mobilize up to 5% of its population, which leads us to 650 million conscripts. This will reinforce the 50 million active duty personnel and 250,000 ships. For naval vessels to hold a force, this size would require 3 million ships. The expeditionary forces would comprise of 2.2 million naval vessels of various types with 800,000 ships in reserves. The reason for deploying that many ships is to have a 2-to-1 ratio against the Galactic Empire in the event they mobilize 1 million ships. For stability operations, it would require forces of 550,048,480 troops. To pay for a costly expedition, the F.P.A. government would need to implement war bonds to help fund the campaign against the final fight on the Galactic Empire. To employ a conscription force, it would need to implement a wave mobilization system to deploy several expeditionary forces. Here is what it would look like. For Option 4, it requires an immense number of resources dedicated to the campaign of combating the Galactic Empire on their home territory. A plan to expand the military this size would take longer to build as time is against the F.P.A. The second con is the domestic population of the F.P.A. would oppose the conscription of 5% of its population due to the majority being tired of war and instead support a conclusion to it. Many citizens would openly oppose the draft and protest, pressuring the government to no longer conscript citizens of the F.P.A. The last con of Option 4 is the economy. How is the F.P.A. going to pay for a vast force? As a recommendation, the F.P.A. would need to switch to a wartime economy and utilize a war bond system. The last major point for option 4 is the Galactic Empire may resort to nuclear weapons. Some nobles care little about their own people and are willing to unleash their own nuclear arsenals. If the territory of the homeland is in jeopardy of being occupied by the F.P.A. military, nobles could launch counterforce as well as counter-value strikes. Counterforce being military targets and counter-value striking cities. The F.P.A. may have an arsenal of nuclear weapons they can deploy on their ships, but no one wins a nuclear war. Eris Academy deems option 2 as the practical solution because it does not risk the F.P.A.'s military lives, ships, and equipment. By causing infighting amongst the Galactic Empire, it weakens the government and will divert resources away from the Island Corridor once civil war breaks out, thus leaving the F.P.A. in a stronger position and allowing it to demobilize part of its military as well as reducing the budget of the Ministry of Defense. This could not only save money, but lives as well. By taking each civilian off the street and putting them in uniform is removing one person from contributing to the economy. Next part delves into the force planning and breakdown of the calculations. Subscribe to Patreon to get early access to part 2 of this series at both the $2 and $5 tiers. Stay tuned and don't forget to have your clearances ready. See you in the next briefing. Thank you for watching the video. Eris Academy provides learning opportunities in anime, video games, and other fictional worlds. If you enjoy these types of videos, like, subscribe, share, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay tuned for future updates.